The history of Japan has been marked by moments of great prosperity, but also by deep crises that have shaken the nation. Today, we will explore one of the most disturbing crises Japan has ever faced. Imagine a country that has been a world leader in technology and economy, now struggling to stay afloat. In recent years, Japan has faced economic and social challenges that have caused growing uncertainty. The demographic crisis is one of the biggest problems. With an aging population and declining birth rate, Japan faces a future where the workforce is insufficient to sustain its economy. The streets once full of life are now deserted, and young people like you carry the weight of an uncertain future. Japan's national debt has reached alarming levels, exceeding 250% of gross domestic product. This has put enormous pressure on the government to find solutions as youth unemployment rates rise and opportunities decline. Furthermore, natural disasters, such as earthquakes and tsunamis, have left deep scars on the country's infrastructure and the psychology of its inhabitants. The Fukushima disaster in 2011 is a constant reminder of the country's vulnerability to these uncontrollable forces. But not everything is hopelessness. Despite the challenges, the resilience and community spirit of the Japanese have proven to be a powerful force. Local and national initiatives seek to revitalize rural areas and encourage innovation among young people. The question we must ask ourselves is, how will Japan confront these challenges in the future? What role will young people play in the reconstruction of a nation that has been hit by so much adversity? As we look at these events, let us remember that every crisis also presents an opportunity for change and renewal. Japan has proven time and time again that, despite adversity, it always finds a way to rise again. Japan, known for its rapid economic growth in the 60s and 70s, found itself trapped in a prolonged economic crisis beginning in the 90s, known as the Lost Decade. This crisis, initiated by the collapse of a real estate and financial bubble, had profound and lasting effects on the country's economy. In turn, the financial crisis of 2008 in the United States, one of the most significant events of the 21st century, exacerbated Japan's economic problems due to the economic interdependence between both nations. This text explores the economic crisis in Japan, its relationship with the North American crisis, and the role of the currency carry trade against the yen, as well as the interests of the central banks of both countries. Japan Economic Crisis. Causes of the Japanese economic crisis. Japan's economic crisis has its roots in the bursting of a speculative bubble in the late 1980s. During this decade, Japan experienced an economic boom driven by rapid credit expansion and a rise in asset prices. The economic euphoria led to massive overvaluation of real estate and stocks. However, in 1991, this bubble burst, resulting in a drastic drop in asset prices and a banking crisis. The Bank of Japan initially responded with a restrictive monetary policy, raising interest rates to control inflation, which ended up worsening the economic recession. Furthermore, Japan's demographic structure, with an aging population and a declining birth rate, further complicated the situation. The aging population resulted in a shrinking workforce and increased Social Security expenditures, negatively affecting long-term economic growth. Effects of the crisis on the Japanese economy. The crisis resulted in persistent deflation, a phenomenon in which consumer prices steadily decline, reducing the incentive to spend and invest. Deflation, combined with rising public debt due to government efforts to stimulate the economy, kept Japan in a state of prolonged economic stagnation. Japanese public debt skyrocketed, exceeding 200% of GDP, one of the highest in the world. The crisis also led to significant changes in Japan's industrial and labor structure. Many companies were forced to restructure, reduce staff, and adopt austerity measures. Temporary employment and job insecurity increased, affecting the economic stability of Japanese households. Despite several attempts at reform and economic stimulus, the country has struggled to return to a path of sustained growth. Relationship with the North American crisis. Treatment. Comparison and connection with the economic crisis in the United States. The financial crisis of 2008 in the United States, triggered by the collapse of the subprime mortgage market, had global repercussions. Problems in the American financial sector quickly spread to other countries due to globalization and the interconnectedness of financial markets. Japan, being one of the United States' largest trading and financial partners, was no exception. The North American crisis led to a decrease in demand for Japanese exports, since the United States is one of the main markets for Japanese products. Furthermore, volatility in global financial markets negatively affected the Japanese economy, exacerbating existing economic problems. Foreign investments declined, and the Japanese yen strengthened against the dollar, further hurting Japanese exports. Mutual impact of crises. The crises in Japan and the United States demonstrated the economic interdependence between both countries. Investment and trade flows between Japan and the United States were severely affected. The economic stimulus policies implemented by both countries attempted to mitigate the effects of the crises, but the coordination of these policies was crucial to avoid further destabilization. The response of global financial markets to the crises was rapid and significant. The decline in stock markets and volatility in currency markets reflected uncertainty and fear among investors. The quantitative easing policies implemented by the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of Japan had mixed effects, stabilizing some aspects of national economies while creating additional challenges in others. Carry trade of currencies against the yen. Explanation of the carry trade. The carry trade is an investment strategy in which investors borrow in a currency with a low interest rate and then invest in a currency with a higher interest rate. Japan, with its ultra-low interest rates, has been a common target for the carry trade. Investors borrowed in Japanese yen and then invested in assets in currencies with higher interest rates, such as the US dollar. The carry trade mechanism is based on the difference in interest rates between two currencies. Investors benefit from the difference between interest rates, making profits through the spread. However, this strategy also carries significant risks, as any abrupt change in exchange rates can result in losses. The response of global financial markets to the crises was rapid and significant. The decline in stock markets and volatility in currency markets reflected uncertainty and fear among investors. The quantitative easing policies implemented by the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of Japan had mixed effects, stabilizing some aspects of national economies while creating additional challenges in others. Carry trade of currencies against the yen. Explanation of the carry trade. The carry trade is an investment strategy in which investors borrow in a currency with a low interest rate and then invest in a currency with a higher interest rate. Japan, with its ultra-low interest rates, has been a common target for the carry trade. Investors borrowed in Japanese yen and then invested in assets in currencies with higher interest rates, such as the US dollar. The carry trade mechanism is based on the difference in interest rates between two currencies. Investors benefit from the difference between interest rates, making profits through the spread. However, this strategy also carries significant risks, as any abrupt change in exchange rates can result in losses. Tani Kihirn. Risks and benefits of the carry trade. The carry trade can have significant effects on global financial markets. It can contribute to exchange rate volatility and create speculative capital flows. For Japan, the carry trade has had a mixed impact. While it can provide a short-term stimulus by increasing demand for Japanese assets, it can also increase financial volatility and complicate monetary policy. The benefits of the carry trade include higher returns for investors and greater liquidity in financial markets. However, risks include the possibility of sharp movements in exchange rates, which can result in significant losses for investors. In addition, the carry trade can exacerbate asset bubbles and contribute to financial instability. Central bank interests. Monetary policy of the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan has maintained interest rates near zero and implemented several rounds of quantitative easing to combat deflation and stimulate the economy. These measures include large-scale purchases of financial assets to increase liquidity in the market and encourage credit and investment.